Have you ever wondered if the habits you've unknowingly adopted are sabotaging your pursuit of true inner peace? Imagine striving for a life of tranquility and wisdom, yet unknowingly carrying out actions that counteract everything Stoicism stands for. In today's fast-paced world, where distractions and pressures abound, it's easy to slip into habits that erode the very foundations of a Stoic life. But what if you could identify these pitfalls and steer clear of them, setting yourself on a path to genuine peace and resilience? In this video, we'll explore 12 common habits that can derail your Stoic journey if left unchecked. These aren't just minor missteps, they're behaviors that can significantly undermine your efforts to live in harmony with Stoic principles. By understanding and avoiding these habits, you can transform your life, fortify your inner peace, and truly embody the wisdom of Stoicism. Before we dive in, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on more insights that can help you lead a more purposeful life. And as we go through each habit, think about how these apply to your own life. How many of these habits might you be guilty of? Stick around until the end, because what you'll discover could very well change the way you approach your daily routines and interactions. Now, let's get started on this journey of transformation. The first habit to watch out for is something we all struggle with, yet it can quietly dismantle our progress: procrastination. Why does this seemingly harmless habit pose such a threat to a Stoic life? Let's find out. Habit 1. Procrastination. Picture this. You have a project due, an important task that requires your full attention, yet you find yourself mindlessly scrolling through social media, convincing yourself that you'll start in just a minute. Hours pass, and the task remains untouched. This scenario is all too familiar, isn't it? Procrastination, the subtle thief of time, is a habit that Stoics like Seneca warned against centuries ago. He famously said, "While we waste our time hesitating and postponing, life is slipping away." This isn't just about time management, it's about the very essence of how we choose to live our lives. In the Stoic philosophy, every moment is an opportunity to practice virtue and make progress toward a life of wisdom. Procrastination, however, robs us of these moments, leaving us with a sense of unfulfilled potential. It lulls us into complacency, tricking us into believing that we have all the time in the world to accomplish our goals. But, as the Stoics remind us, time is our most valuable asset, one that, once lost, can never be regained. Procrastination, therefore, is more than just a bad habit. It's a fundamental misalignment with the Stoic principle of living with purpose and urgency. But why is procrastination so dangerous to a Stoic way of life? Because it breeds anxiety and self-doubt. The more we delay, the heavier the burden of our unfinished tasks becomes, leading to stress and a sense of overwhelm. This cycle of delay and stress keeps us from achieving the peace of mind that Stoicism teaches us to seek. Instead of being present and engaged in our tasks, we become trapped in a loop of avoidance and regret. Now, think about how often you find yourself procrastinating. Is it because the task seems too daunting, or perhaps because you're waiting for the perfect moment to start? The truth is, the perfect moment rarely, if ever, arrives. The Stoics believed in the power of immediate action. Taking the first step, no matter how small, is often the most important part of the journey. They understood that progress is built on consistent, deliberate action, not on waiting for inspiration to strike. As you reflect on this, consider the areas in your life where procrastination has held you back. What could you achieve if you chose to act now instead of later? Imagine the relief and satisfaction of completing tasks promptly, freeing your mind to focus on what truly matters. By overcoming procrastination, you align yourself with the Stoic ideal of living fully in the present, making the most of each day. But procrastination is just the beginning. In the next section, we'll explore another habit that can subtly sabotage your pursuit of a Stoic life: neglecting relationships. Why is it that, in our quest for personal growth, we sometimes forget the value of the connections we share with others? Stay tuned, because this next insight could transform how you view your interactions with those around you. Habit 2. Neglecting relationships. Imagine the last time you were so focused on your personal goals that you forgot to return a friend's call, skipped a family gathering, or put off spending time with someone close to you. It's easy to get caught up in the hustle of self-improvement, but as the Stoics remind us, our relationships are the foundation upon which our lives are built. Seneca once said, "No one can live happily who has regard to himself alone and transforms everything into a question of his own utility. You must live for your neighbor if you would live for yourself." This wisdom speaks to the heart of why neglecting relationships can be detrimental, not just to others, but to our own well-being. In the pursuit of personal growth, it's tempting to view relationships as distractions or even obstacles. However, the Stoics saw them as integral to a virtuous life. Relationships, whether with friends, family, or community, are the spaces where we practice and refine our virtues: patience, kindness, humility. Neglecting these connections isn't just about missing out on social interaction. It's about losing the opportunity to grow through the challenges and joys that relationships bring. Think about a time when you felt truly connected to someone. Maybe it was a deep conversation with a friend or a moment of support from a loved one. These experiences are not just pleasant memories, they are essential to your development as a person. Relationships teach us empathy, understanding, and the ability to see the world from another's perspective. When we neglect these bonds, we risk becoming isolated in our thoughts, losing touch with the very virtues we aim to cultivate. But why do we often push relationships to the side in our quest for self-betterment? Perhaps it's the misconception that we need to focus solely on ourselves to grow. However, the Stoics believed that self-improvement and relationship building go hand in hand. They understood that a well-rounded life includes the support and connection of others, which in turn strengthens our resolve and commitment to living virtuously. As you reflect on your own life, consider the relationships you may have been neglecting. Are there friends you've lost touch with, family members you've been meaning to visit, or even colleagues you've distanced yourself from? Now, think about the impact these relationships have had on your personal growth. What have you learned from these connections, and how have they shaped you into the person you are today? The good news is that it's never too late to reconnect. By prioritizing relationships, you not only enrich your own life, but also contribute to the well-being of those around you. This mutual growth is at the core of Stoic philosophy, living not just for oneself, but for the collective good. But relationships aren't the only area where we can go astray. Next, we'll delve into a habit that many of us might overlook, yet it's one that can quietly undermine our pursuit of a fulfilling life: attachment to material possessions. Why do these things, which we often think bring us happiness, actually lead us away from true contentment? The answer lies in the Stoic principle of detachment, and it's more relevant today than ever before. Stay with us as we explore this crucial aspect of living a truly Stoic life. Habit 3. Attachment to material possessions. Think back to a time when you finally acquired something you had long desired. A new gadget, a piece of jewelry, or perhaps a car. The anticipation was intense, and the moment you held it in your hands, you felt a rush of joy. But how long did that joy last? Days, weeks, maybe a few months. Eventually, the excitement faded, and that prized possession became just another item in your life. This cycle of desire, acquisition, and eventual disinterest is something the Stoics warned us about centuries ago. They knew that attaching our happiness to material things was a dangerous game, one that leads not to lasting fulfillment, but to an endless chase after the next thing. The Stoics, particularly Marcus Aurelius, often spoke about the fleeting nature of material possessions. Marcus wrote, "The things you think about determine the quality of your mind. Your soul takes on the color of your thoughts." If we constantly think about acquiring more, our minds become clouded with unnecessary desires, leading us away from the tranquility that Stoicism promises. The more we attach ourselves to things, whether it's wealth, status, or physical objects, the more we risk losing our inner peace when these things inevitably change or disappear. But why is attachment to material possessions so counterproductive? For one, it places our sense of happiness and security in the hands of external factors, things we cannot fully control. Imagine basing your self-worth on the car you drive or the clothes you wear. What happens if those things are taken away or fall out of fashion? Suddenly your identity feels threatened, and the peace you once sought is replaced by anxiety and fear. The Stoics believed that true contentment comes from within, not from the accumulation of external goods. They encouraged focusing on what is permanent and unchangeable, our character, our virtues, and our capacity for rational thought. These are the things that no one can take away from us, and they are the true sources of a fulfilled life. By detaching from the need to possess and impress, we free ourselves from the chains of materialism and open the door to genuine happiness. Reflect for a moment on your own life. How much of your time and energy is spent on acquiring and maintaining material things? And how often do you find that these things bring only temporary satisfaction? The Stoics challenge us to shift our focus from what we can own to who we can become. It's a subtle but profound shift that leads to a more meaningful and resilient life. As we consider the next habit, it's important to remember that it's not just material possessions that can lead us astray, but also the ego that drives our desire for them. Up next, we'll explore the dangerous habit of letting our ego dictate our actions. Why does the Stoic path require humility, and how can we keep our ego in check while striving for personal excellence? Stay with us, as the answer could reshape your approach to both success and personal growth. Habit 4. Allowing ego to drive actions. Let's take a journey back to ancient Rome, where a young man named Marcus Aurelius was groomed to become one of the most powerful figures in history. As a future emperor, Marcus had every reason to let his ego run wild. He could have easily believed he was destined for greatness simply because of his position. Yet, instead of succumbing to the intoxicating allure of power and ego, Marcus Aurelius became known as one of the most humble and reflective rulers of all time. His personal writings, compiled in meditations, reveal a constant struggle to keep his ego in check and to remain grounded in the virtues that truly matter. Why was Marcus so wary of letting his ego drive his actions? The answer lies in the Stoic understanding that ego distorts reality. When we allow our ego to take the wheel, we start to believe that we are more important than we really are. We might begin to see others as inferior or view challenges as beneath us. This mindset not only alienates us from others, but also blinds us to our own flaws and areas for improvement. Ego is a double-edged sword that can inflate our sense of self-worth while simultaneously cutting us off from genuine growth and connection. Consider a time in your own life when ego might have led you astray. Perhaps it was a situation at work where you refused to listen to feedback because you believed you knew better, or a relationship where you let pride prevent you from apologizing. These are moments where ego, rather than rational thought, dictated your actions. And often the result is conflict, missed opportunities for growth, and a lingering sense of dissatisfaction. The Stoics, including Marcus Aurelius, understood that true power and fulfillment come not from feeding the ego, but from cultivating humility. Humility allows us to see ourselves and others more clearly. It keeps us grounded, reminding us that no matter how successful or talented we may be, there is always more to learn and room to grow. By practicing humility, we open ourselves up to continuous improvement and deeper connections with those around us. But keeping the ego in check is no easy task. It requires constant vigilance and self-reflection. The next time you feel your ego flaring up, whether it's in a meeting, a debate, or even in your internal dialogue, pause and ask yourself, is this really about the issue at hand, or is it about protecting my sense of self? This simple act of questioning can diffuse the ego's power and bring you back to a place of rationality and humility. As we move forward, it's important to recognize that the battle with the ego is an ongoing one, but it's also deeply rewarding. By keeping our ego in check, we not only become better leaders and friends, but also more authentic and fulfilled individuals. In the next section, we'll explore another powerful force that can derail our pursuit of a Stoic life, the struggle with negative emotions. How can we master our emotions and ensure they don't control us? The answer lies in one of the most fundamental principles of Stoic philosophy, and it's coming up next. Don't miss it. Habit 5. Succumbing to negative emotions. Imagine a Roman soldier standing at the edge of a battlefield, heart pounding as the enemy approaches. In this moment, fear is a natural response, yet for a Stoic, it's crucial to master that fear, to not let it dictate actions. This ability to control emotions rather than be controlled by them is one of the cornerstones of Stoic philosophy. The Stoics taught that emotions like anger, fear, and envy are destructive forces that cloud our judgment and lead us away from rational thought and virtuous living. Let's consider the story of Athenodorus Canonites, a Stoic philosopher who advised the Emperor Augustus. Athenodorus famously taught Augustus to recite the alphabet before reacting in anger, giving himself time to cool down and respond with reason rather than emotion. This practice highlights a key Stoic principle. Emotions are natural, but they must be controlled if we are to act in accordance with virtue and wisdom. But why are negative emotions so dangerous? The Stoics believed that when we allow emotions like anger or fear to take the lead, we lose control over our decisions and actions. Think about the last time you made a decision in the heat of the moment. Maybe you said something you regretted or made a choice that didn't align with your true values. These are the moments when emotions override reason, leading to outcomes that often cause more harm than good. Now, consider your own life. How often do you find yourself reacting emotionally rather than thoughtfully? Perhaps it's during a stressful situation at work or in a heated argument with a loved one. The Stoics would advise you to pause, take a breath, and examine the emotion before acting on it. They understood that while we can't control the emotions that arise within us, we can control how we respond to them. A practical way to apply this Stoic principle is to practice what Epictetus called the dichotomy of control, focusing on what we can control, our reactions, and letting go of what we can't, the emotions themselves. This practice not only helps in managing negative emotions, but also fosters a sense of inner peace and resilience. When we learn to respond to life's challenges with calm and reason, rather than with emotional impulsivity, we align ourselves more closely with Stoic ideals. As you reflect on this, ask yourself, how can you better manage your emotions in challenging situations? What techniques can you use to ensure that your actions are guided by reason rather than emotional impulses? The answers to these questions are key to living a more Stoic life, one where your emotions serve you rather than the other way around. But mastering emotions is just one part of the equation. In the next section, we'll delve into another habit that can subtly sabotage your pursuit of a Stoic life: overindulgence and the lack of discipline. Why is it that Stoicism emphasizes moderation and self-control, and how can practicing these virtues lead to a more fulfilling life? Stay tuned as we explore the answers and uncover the path to a more disciplined and balanced existence. Habit 6: Overindulgence and lack of discipline. Imagine a grand Roman feast, tables overflowing with the finest foods, wines flowing freely, and every desire catered to. It might sound like a scene of luxury, but to the Stoics, this would be a cautionary tale. They knew that while indulgence can be tempting, it often leads to a loss of self-control and ultimately to dissatisfaction. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus warned that everything in excess is opposed to nature, a reminder that overindulgence, whether in food, drink, or any other pleasure, can quickly derail a life of virtue and moderation. Why is overindulgence so problematic in the Stoic worldview? For one, it weakens our ability to practice self-discipline, a key component of Stoic living. The more we indulge, the more we become slaves to our desires, losing the ability to say no when necessary. This lack of discipline extends beyond just physical pleasures. It can affect all areas of life, from spending habits to how we manage our time. Overindulgence fosters a dependency on external sources of happiness, leading us further away from the inner tranquility that Stoicism aims to cultivate. Consider a time when you indulged in something to excess. Maybe it was a night of overeating, overspending, or binge-watching your favorite show. How did you feel afterward? Likely, the initial pleasure was quickly replaced by feelings of regret or discomfort. This cycle of indulgence and regret is something the Stoics sought to avoid by practicing temperance and self-control. They believed that true contentment comes not from indulging every whim, but from mastering our desires and living in accordance with reason. But how can we practice self-discipline in a world that constantly tempts us to overindulge? The Stoics would suggest starting with small, manageable steps. For example, instead of indulging in a lavish meal every day, practice moderation by eating simple, nourishing foods most of the time and reserving indulgences for special occasions. This not only strengthens your self-discipline, but also enhances your appreciation for those moments of indulgence when they do occur. As you think about your own life, where might overindulgence be holding you back? Is it in your eating habits, your spending, or perhaps in how you use your time? Reflect on how practicing moderation could lead to greater self-control and, in turn, a deeper sense of satisfaction. The Stoics understood that by exercising restraint, we build the mental fortitude needed to face life's challenges with clarity and resolve. Up next, we'll explore another crucial aspect of Stoic living, the importance of embracing responsibility. While it might seem easier to shy away from duties and obligations, the Stoics believed that taking responsibility is key to living a meaningful and virtuous life. How can we shift our mindset to see responsibility not as a burden, but as an opportunity for growth? The answer lies in the next section, so stay tuned as we delve into this essential Stoic habit. Habit 7. Avoidance of responsibility. Picture a young Roman senator, perhaps in his early 30s, who has just been given the weighty task of overseeing a crucial public project. The enormity of the responsibility feels overwhelming, and he's tempted to pass it off to someone else, hoping to avoid the pressure and potential for failure. Yet, deep down, he knows that true growth comes not from shirking duties, but from facing them head-on. This scenario echoes the wisdom of the Stoics, who understood that embracing responsibility is not just a civic duty, but a vital component of personal development and virtue. The Stoics, particularly Epictetus, believed that responsibility is central to living a life of purpose. They taught that every role we play, whether as a parent, a friend, a worker, or a citizen, comes with its own set of duties that we must not only accept, but also strive to fulfill with excellence. Avoiding responsibility, on the other hand, leads to a life of avoidance, fear, and ultimately stagnation. When we shy away from our responsibilities, we deny ourselves the opportunity to grow, to challenge our limits, and to contribute meaningfully to the world around us. But why is it so tempting to avoid responsibility? Perhaps it's the fear of failure or the discomfort of stepping out of our comfort zones. Yet, the Stoics remind us that these fears are precisely what we need to confront if we are to cultivate true strength and resilience. Marcus Aurelius, one of the most powerful men of his time, often reflected on his duties with a sense of humble determination. He understood that with great power came great responsibility, not just to the empire, but to himself and his moral integrity. Consider a time when you were faced with a significant responsibility. Maybe it was a leadership role at work, the care of a loved one, or even a personal goal that required dedication and effort. Did you embrace that responsibility with open arms, or did you hesitate, feeling the weight of potential failure? The Stoic approach would be to see such responsibilities not as burdens, but as opportunities to exercise virtue and to grow stronger, both in character and in skill. By avoiding responsibility, we miss out on these opportunities. We remain stagnant, trapped by our own fear of failure or discomfort. On the other hand, when we step up and take ownership of our roles, we empower ourselves. We learn, we adapt, and we grow. This mindset shift, from seeing responsibility as a burden to seeing it as a path to growth, is at the heart of Stoic philosophy. As you reflect on your own life, think about the responsibilities you've been avoiding. What challenges have you sidestepped, and how might facing them head-on change your life for the better? By embracing responsibility, you not only contribute to the well-being of those around you, but also set yourself on a path to greater self-awareness and personal fulfillment. But responsibility isn't the only area where we can stumble on the path to a Stoic life. In the next section, we'll explore a habit that might seem counterintuitive, but is crucial for living in accordance with nature: resisting change. Why is it that holding on to the past or fearing the future can disrupt our peace of mind? The Stoics had profound insights on the importance of embracing change, and it's a lesson that's more relevant today than ever. Stay tuned as we dive into this essential Stoic principle. Habit 8. Resisting change. Imagine a ship sailing through a turbulent sea. The captain, fearing the unpredictability of the storm, orders the crew to anchor the ship and wait out the weather. But as the waves grow stronger, the ship becomes more vulnerable, battered by the relentless force of the ocean. Had the captain embraced the changing winds and navigated through the storm, the ship might have reached calmer waters more swiftly. This story mirrors how many of us handle change in our lives. By resisting it, we often make our journey more difficult, clinging to the past or fearing the unknown, rather than adapting to the inevitable shifts that life brings. The Stoics understood that change is a fundamental part of life, one that should not only be accepted, but embraced. Heraclitus, a pre-Socratic philosopher who greatly influenced Stoic thought, famously stated, "You cannot step into the same river twice." This metaphor captures the essence of change. Life is in constant flux, and resisting this reality only leads to suffering. The Stoics believed that by embracing change, we align ourselves with nature, understanding that everything is temporary and that our peace of mind depends on our ability to adapt. But why do we resist change so fiercely? It often stems from fear, the fear of losing control, the fear of the unknown, or the fear of discomfort. However, the Stoics teach us that these fears are based on illusions. Change, whether it involves a career shift, the end of a relationship, or even aging, is not something to be feared, but rather an opportunity for growth. Marcus Aurelius wrote extensively about the nature of change, reminding himself that it is a natural part of life and that everything we experience is part of a greater, harmonious whole. Think about a time in your life when you resisted change. Maybe it was a job opportunity you hesitated to take, a move to a new city you delayed, or even a shift in your personal beliefs that you avoided. How did this resistance affect you? Did it bring you peace, or did it create more anxiety and unrest? The Stoic approach encourages us to view change as an inevitable part of the journey, one that, if embraced, can lead to new opportunities and personal evolution. To practice this Stoic principle, try to shift your perspective on change. Instead of seeing it as a threat, view it as a natural progression, a chance to learn, to grow, and to become more resilient. The next time you face a significant change, ask yourself, what can I learn from this? How can this situation help me grow? By asking these questions, you begin to see change not as an enemy, but as a teacher. As we move forward, it's essential to understand that while embracing change is crucial, so too is the way we seek validation in our lives. In the next section, we'll delve into the habit of seeking external validation, a trap that can lead us away from our true selves and into a cycle of dependency on others' approval. Why is it that Stoics advocate for finding contentment from within, and how can we cultivate this inner strength? Join us as we explore this next vital aspect of Stoic wisdom. Habit 9. Seeking external validation. Imagine a renowned Roman general returning to the city after a victorious campaign. As he parades through the streets, the cheers of the crowd are deafening, their admiration almost tangible. But behind him, a slave whispers in his ear, "Memento mori," remember you are mortal. This scene, often described in historical accounts, serves as a powerful reminder that external validation, no matter how intoxicating, is fleeting. The Stoics believed that true contentment comes not from the approval of others, but from within, a principle that is especially relevant in today's world, where social media and societal pressures often make external validation seem like the ultimate goal. Why is seeking external validation so detrimental to living a Stoic life? The answer lies in the inherent instability of relying on others' opinions. When our sense of self-worth is tied to how others perceive us, we give away our power. We become like leaves in the wind, blown about by the shifting opinions and judgments of those around us. This dependency can lead to a never-ending cycle of anxiety and dissatisfaction as we constantly seek affirmation from others to feel good about ourselves. The Stoics, however, taught that the only opinion that truly matters is our own, specifically how well we live according to our principles and virtues. Consider a time when you found yourself seeking approval. Maybe it was through social media, in a professional setting, or even within your family. How did it feel when you received the validation you sought? Perhaps there was a brief moment of satisfaction, but was it lasting? And what happened when the approval wasn't there? This constant pursuit of external validation is exhausting and unsustainable. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus warned against placing our happiness in the hands of others, teaching that we should focus on what we can control, our own actions and thoughts. But how can we shift from seeking external validation to cultivating internal contentment? The Stoics would advise starting by recognizing the transient nature of others' opinions. Just as the crowds in ancient Rome could cheer one day and jeer the next, so too can modern praise be fickle and unpredictable. Instead of chasing after the approval of others, the Stoics encourage us to focus on our inner values: integrity, honesty, kindness, and wisdom. By living in alignment with these values, we build a sense of self-worth that isn't dependent on external factors. As you reflect on this, ask yourself, how much of your daily happiness is tied to what others think of you? What steps can you take to ensure that your self-esteem is rooted in your own values and actions, rather than in the fluctuating opinions of others? By shifting your focus inward, you begin to reclaim your power and cultivate a more stable, lasting sense of fulfillment. But seeking external validation is just one of many habits that can lead us away from the Stoic path. In the next section, we'll explore the dangers of neglecting self-reflection, a practice that is essential for living a life of virtue and wisdom. Why is it that Stoics emphasize the importance of introspection, and how can regular self-reflection help us stay true to our principles? The answers lie ahead, so stay tuned as we delve into this vital Stoic practice. Habit 10. Lack of reflection. Imagine the end of a long day. Your mind is buzzing with the events that transpired, the conversations you had, the decisions you made. Now think about how often you take a moment to truly reflect on these experiences. For the Stoics, this daily reflection was not just a casual habit, but a vital practice that ensured they lived in alignment with their values. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic emperor, was known for his nightly routine of journaling, where he would evaluate his actions, thoughts, and motivations. This practice, known as exam or self-examination, is what kept him grounded amidst the chaos of ruling an empire. Why is self-reflection so crucial in Stoicism? The Stoics believed that without regular introspection, we risk losing sight of our principles and can easily fall into patterns of behavior that are reactive rather than intentional. Reflection allows us to assess whether our actions align with our values, whether we have been living up to the virtues we aspire to embody, such as wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. Without this practice, we can become like a ship without a rudder, drifting wherever the winds of life take us, rather than steering with purpose. Consider a time when you acted on impulse, only to later regret your decision. Perhaps it was a heated argument, a hasty purchase, or a missed opportunity to do good. Had you taken a moment to reflect before acting, would your decision have been different? The Stoics encourage us to regularly pause and look inward, to ask ourselves whether our actions are leading us closer to the life we want to lead or pulling us further away from it. But how do we incorporate self-reflection into our daily lives? The Stoics would suggest simple but profound practices, such as journaling at the end of each day, or taking a few quiet moments in the morning to set intentions for the day ahead. These practices don't need to be time-consuming. Even a few minutes of honest reflection can provide clarity and guide us toward better decisions. The key is consistency, making reflection a regular part of our routine, so it becomes second nature. As you think about your own habits, ask yourself, how often do you take the time to reflect on your day? Are there decisions you've made recently that could have benefited from more thoughtful consideration? By committing to regular self-reflection, you strengthen your ability to act with intention, ensuring that your actions are aligned with your values and that you are living a life of integrity. Yet, while reflection is essential, it's not enough on its own. In the next section, we'll explore another habit that can undermine our Stoic journey: avoiding difficulties. Why is it that Stoics believe facing challenges head-on is crucial for personal growth? And how can we learn to see obstacles not as threats, but as opportunities? Stay with us as we uncover the Stoic perspective on embracing life's challenges and turning them into stepping stones for success. Habit 11. Avoiding difficulties. Imagine a blacksmith forging a sword. The process is grueling. The metal is heated to intense temperatures, hammered repeatedly, and plunged into cold water. It's through this intense process that the metal becomes strong, resilient, and sharp. The Stoics believed that our characters are forged in a similar way, through the challenges and difficulties we face in life. Seneca, one of the great Stoic philosophers, wrote, "Difficulties strengthen the mind, as labor does the body." This belief underscores a fundamental Stoic principle that avoiding difficulties not only weakens us, but also robs us of the opportunity to grow into the person we are meant to become. But why do we tend to avoid challenges? Perhaps it's the discomfort, the fear of failure, or the instinct to take the path of least resistance. However, the Stoics taught that it is precisely in facing these challenges that we develop the virtues of courage, patience, and wisdom. By confronting difficulties head-on, we cultivate resilience, a key attribute that allows us to navigate the ups and downs of life with grace and strength. Think about a time when you faced a significant challenge. Maybe it was a difficult decision, a personal loss, or a professional setback. How did you approach it? Did you shy away, hoping it would resolve on its own? Or did you face it with determination and resolve? The Stoics would argue that it is through these very moments that we define ourselves. Avoiding difficulties might provide temporary relief, but it often leads to greater problems down the line, as unresolved issues can compound and create even more significant challenges. The Stoic approach encourages us to view difficulties not as obstacles, but as opportunities. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, often reminded himself that the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. This means that the very challenges we face can become the path to our growth and success if we choose to confront them with the right mindset. As you reflect on your own life, consider the challenges you may have been avoiding. How might facing these difficulties head-on change your life for the better? What virtues could you cultivate by stepping into discomfort rather than retreating from it? By embracing challenges, you transform them from potential setbacks into stepping stones toward a more resilient and fulfilled life. But while embracing difficulties is essential, it's also important to recognize that not every battle is worth fighting. In the next section, we'll explore the Stoic wisdom of choosing which battles to engage in and which to let go. How can we discern which challenges are worth our time and energy, and how can we let go of those that do not serve our greater purpose? The answer lies in the practice of selective engagement, a key tenet of Stoic philosophy. Stay with us as we dive deeper into this empowering principle. Habit 12. Inaction due to fear. Picture a warrior standing at the edge of a battlefield, sword in hand, ready to face the enemy. But instead of charging forward, he hesitates, paralyzed by fear. His mind races with thoughts of defeat, humiliation, and the pain that might come. In that moment of hesitation, the opportunity to act is lost, and with it, the chance to shape his destiny. This warrior's plight is a powerful metaphor for the moments in our lives when fear holds us back from taking action. Moments when we allow the uncertainty of what lies ahead to prevent us from stepping into the arena of life. The Stoics believed that fear is one of the most insidious obstacles to living a virtuous and fulfilling life. They taught that inaction, born from fear, is a form of self-sabotage, preventing us from realizing our potential and achieving our goals. Epictetus, a former slave turned Stoic philosopher, often spoke of the importance of courage in the face of fear, emphasizing that it is not the obstacles themselves that defeat us, but our fear of them. He said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." This reaction, whether it is rooted in fear or courage, determines whether we move forward or remain stuck. But why do we allow fear to paralyze us? Often, it's the fear of failure, rejection, or the unknown that keeps us from acting. We worry about what others might think, or we imagine worst-case scenarios that never come to pass. This fear-based inaction creates a vicious cycle. By avoiding challenges, we never develop the resilience and confidence needed to face them, which in turn reinforces our fear. The Stoics understood that the only way to break this cycle is through action. They believed that courage is not the absence of fear, but the decision to act despite it. Think about a time when fear stopped you from pursuing something meaningful, a career opportunity, a relationship, or a personal goal. How did that inaction make you feel in the long run? While avoiding potential failure might have provided temporary comfort, it likely left you with a lingering sense of what could have been. The Stoics would encourage you to confront these fears head-on, to take action even when the outcome is uncertain. By doing so, you not only overcome the fear itself, but also build the inner strength and confidence needed to tackle future challenges. One way to practice this Stoic principle is to start with small acts of courage. For instance, if you're afraid of public speaking, begin by speaking up in smaller groups. If you fear rejection, challenge yourself to reach out to someone new. These small steps build momentum, gradually reducing the power of fear over your life. The Stoics believed that through repeated action, even in the face of fear, we develop the fortitude necessary to live boldly and authentically. As you reflect on your own life, ask yourself, what fears have been holding you back? How might your life change if you decided to act in spite of those fears? By embracing courage, you open the door to new opportunities and experiences that can lead to profound personal growth. But while action is crucial, it's equally important to remember that not all actions are worth taking. In our final section, we'll explore the Stoic wisdom of discernment, how to choose the battles that matter and let go of those that don't. Why is it that knowing when to act and when to abstain is key to living a balanced and purposeful life? Join us as we uncover this final piece of the Stoic puzzle. As we bring our exploration of Stoic habits to a close, think back to the many lessons we've uncovered, from the dangers of procrastination and the pitfalls of seeking external validation, to the importance of embracing change and facing our fears head-on. Each of these habits, when left unchecked, can lead us away from the path of inner peace and virtue that the Stoics championed. But by becoming aware of these tendencies and actively working to counter them, we can transform our lives, cultivating resilience, wisdom, and a deep sense of purpose. The journey to live a Stoic life is not without its challenges, but it is a journey worth undertaking. Like the blacksmith forging a sword, it is through the heat of life's trials and the hammering of daily practice that we shape ourselves into stronger, more virtuous individuals. The Stoics remind us that every moment is an opportunity to practice virtue, to align our actions with our highest values, and to grow into the people we aspire to be. As you move forward, I encourage you to reflect on the habits we've discussed today. Which of these habits resonate most with you? Are there areas in your life where you see room for growth? By taking small, intentional steps, whether it's through daily reflection, embracing discomfort, or letting go of the need for external approval, you can begin to make profound changes in your life. If you found value in today's discussion, I invite you to subscribe and join our community of like-minded individuals striving for personal growth and inner peace. Your journey doesn't end here. There's always more to learn, more to reflect on, and more to improve. And remember, every step you take towards mastering these habits brings you closer to the life of fulfillment and tranquility that the Stoics envisioned. Thank you for joining me on this journey through the Stoic principles that can transform our lives. I look forward to exploring more with you in future videos. Until then, stay strong, stay wise, and continue to cultivate the calm within. If you have thoughts or questions, drop them in the comments below. I'd love to hear how you're applying these principles in your own life.